You all set?
I'm all set, yes.
I'll make a motion to reconvene the open session. Disclose that no votes were taken in executive session to seal the minutes of closed executive session pursuant to RAGO 42-46-7C.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think that has to be a roll call, Madam President.
Can I get a roll call?
Councilor Granger.
Aye.
Councilor Steer.
Aye.
Councilor Burlington.
Aye.
Councilor Arno.
Aye.
Councilor Worthy.
Do I abstain from that because I wasn't here? All right, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Apologies for a little bit of a late start. Open forum for agenda items. Anybody wishing to speak on agenda item, please step to the microphone, state your name. Nobody up? Okay. Consent, you want to do that? You want to ask one quick?
Like to make a motion to add to the agenda, next item, discussion only, with Rhode Island Leagues of Cities and Towns.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome to Gloucester, again. So we've had some communication with the City of Leagues and Towns. They kind of have a little bit of a, what's happening on the state side. They look at towns like us, see where we can use their services. So I'd like to have them come up and at least give a little brief description of where we are and what we can do moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the committee, and thank you, all of you, for allowing us to be here today. Is this on? Thank you.
There you go.
But thank you for allowing us to be here today. My name's Ernie Almonte. I'm the Executive Director of the League of Cities and Towns. I'm with David Boda, our Associate Director of the League. We're a staff of 5 people. We work for all 39 cities and towns. We're a not-for-profit of which all the municipalities belong to the League of Cities and Towns, and Glocester certainly is a member of our organization. And just to give you a little background, before I get into the league, I actually used to live in Gloucester at Keach Dam Road and fishing, hunting, everything around here. So I love the community. We moved to Smithfield now, so apologize I moved out of town, but I grew up here, and I told Dave that I made sure I took my truck tonight, so you know that I really was a hunter and a fisherman, which I've been to your place.
We see beamers around here, we get real nervous.
It's like, I agree. So that's why I didn't take an Audi. But anyways, I wanted to let you all know a little bit about what your membership, the dues that you pay to the league, what that really entitles you all to, and what happens every single year. And so I said we represent all 39 cities and towns. What does that mean? Well, we have, like, we just finished having luncheons with the governor, where there were 4 lunches spread out over time of about 3 or 4 weeks, where we brought leaders from every single municipality to meet face-to-face with the governor, his chief of staff, his senior policy people, to express whatever your needs were. And like I told each group, this is an opportunity to tell them about the pebble in your shoe, those issues that are just bugging you every day that don't seem to get fixed. But we give you, through your membership through us, access to the governor's office, the Speaker of the House, Senate President, all the cabinet members, which we meet with all the time. And I know it's not your community, but just to give you an example, like say the Washington Bridge, as an example. When that took place, we met with the governor's office, the mayors of the different cities affected by it. We talked to all cities and towns about helping them out, either producing signs right away so they could direct traffic, lending police officers. So it's an opportunity to work together in a collaborative manner to solve problems that maybe only relate to one town, but now we can reach out to the 39 cities and towns to help out in those particular areas. We do things called Workshop Wednesdays. Every Wednesday we have a 50-minute session that is on all kinds of topics. So say, for example, federal grants that are out there, we let all 39 cities and towns know the grants that are available, how to apply for them, how to execute the money, and how to account for them afterwards. We have an annual dinner, and coming up March 21st, and hopefully you all can make it. As members, you get to go to that. March 21st, it's all day at the Crown Plaza in Warwick. There's about 20 sessions, educational sessions throughout the day. Vendors there that do business with all cities and towns. Almost everyone in the government, municipal and state and local government and federal government come to this event. It's your chance just to walk around, network with the leaders, the movers and shakers to get things done. And if there's anybody you need to meet, all you have to do is tell myself or David, we could get you pulled aside to have a conversation with them. The other thing too is we started, when I first got, I've only been there a year and 3 months in this role as executive director. We started a municipal leadership academy, and in our first class, what I've done in other organizations is a big difference between management and leadership. We're teaching people how to be leaders, not just managers, and there's a huge difference. Well, our first class we ever had was your finance director, doesn't work here anymore, but your finance director went through that program, and it's an excellent program to teach people, improve their skill sets so they can rise to a much higher level. We work with all legislation, and just to give you an idea, if you don't think it's a big deal, Dave and there's another person out for CJ who are working on all the legislation. Just up to today, we have over 1,700 pieces of legislation that have been submitted. I have to read every single one of them, see how they apply to cities and towns, and this is where we can work together. You know, obviously we know from a high level, our principles are we don't want the state to take away management rights from cities and towns, for any city and town. We're closest to the people, we want access to be able to make our own decisions, be innovative without the state telling us what to do. And we don't want unfunded mandates. So those are like our overarching principles. But we need to know from all of you, like if there's a piece of legislation out there that's really bothering you, just to let us know what the issue is, and maybe we can get it modified, maybe we can get regulations passed to modify it for your community, but we don't know unless you tell us. We're looking at the highest level about how to do that. And I know in your community, we're used to going to either a mayor or a town manager, someone that's a point person we can talk to, but I know we work with your clerk, so whoever you designate, we would make that person, the person we funnel all our information to. But there's a lot of opportunities for you to use us and leverage the knowledge we have. 5 highly skilled people with networks throughout the state to help you solve problems. So I'm gonna stop there, I just want to flip it over so I don't take up all your time for your community here tonight, but also we started a rural community group because, again, I said last year was my first year there, but we heard the buzz that a lot of people think everything's about Providence and the city of Warwick and those major cities. So we started a rural community group, and we're gonna do this every quarter, where we sit down with all our rural communities. We had our first meeting about 2 months ago in Smithfield. Something happened during that time, it wasn't well attended, but then we're gonna make the next one virtual so that everyone can participate in it. But we're gonna do this every quarter, so we can let you know the legislation that's out there, how it could impact your community, get your feedback from all of you. What do you want us to do? Are you for it, against it? Where do you want us to be and to send that message? We're gonna do this every quarter. And in that meeting, Dave will be able to make a presentation to all of you about the legislation that we feel does have either positive or negative impact on you, but also want to hear your feedback on whether we missed something, so we can go back and modify that. The last thing I just wanted to tell you, we also do a lot of work throughout the state, not just at the CEO level, but planners, clerks, tax assessors. They're affiliate members of the league, so we spend a lot of time with them. Whatever those issues are, we bring those to. So I'm going to stop there, but just want to ask you if you have any questions or anything from me or for David. But want to let you know that's what we do for you, and we're willing to do it, happy to do it, and just let us know if there's anything you want us to do. But I think one of the most important things is coming here and telling you, so you know the services you're entitled to, and please use it. We're able to help you.
Very interested in the group of other rural communities like ours. You know, we're different than a lot of other, you know, a lot of people move out here because they kind of don't want to be on top of other people. They want to have some land, and, you know, we don't have water, we don't have, you know, town sewer, so we're kind of held back in some ways, but a lot of people actually enjoy that type of lifestyle. But when a lot of those zoning issues came up this year, I mean, we just had to all take it. We didn't have a voice. It didn't seem like a lot of our needs were gonna be, you know, met. And we'd like to have the opportunity to know when those things are gonna be happening. And again, if we can forge relationships with other towns, that kind of feed the same thing, that, you know, have the same needs that we have. I think that's important.
And I agree, sir. And one of the things today, 15 new bills came out on housing.
Yeah.
So we'll be reviewing those, looking at the impact, and obviously want to hear from all of you. But one of the messages we always say is, there's not a one size fits all. It's not a homogeneous group, the 39 cities and towns. The budgets are small and large, and staffs are small and large. So you can't have one solution that meets the needs of all 39, and that's what we're there for. But again, we need to know how it helps or hurts you, so we can relay that message to them.
Yeah.
And by putting together this rural community, I really felt that this is an opportunity, instead of me going up there and saying, hey, it's just a town of Gloucester, I can say, no, there's 17 communities that are hurt by this piece of legislation. And as you can imagine, it's like here, the more that
Stronger
come, and it
numbers.
affects a lot more people, they're willing to listen and make a change.
That's great.
Yeah, that's obviously a big part of our frustration up here. You know, we don't have infrastructure to implement certain things that were directives from the state. And it's, you know, sometimes it feels like somebody's gotta come up and take a ride around our neighborhood and figure out how we could accommodate what you're mandating. You know, everything from housing to, you know, affordable. I mean, we're just impacted in a different way. And obviously the total number of our population of rural communities doesn't add up to one big one. And so I think that, you know, I would like to lean on you more and ask for a louder voice from you guys to represent. We have different challenges, and some of these mandates are simply, when the state takes away our rights to manage our own town, we really need to work through this, and I think that's our biggest challenge on something that you guys could help us with. So
Well, thinking that, and just so you know, Dave's been with us 1 month, and he can tell you I was smiling as you were saying that. I started out our conversation was, we don't want the state telling us what to do. I said, so if you keep that overarching principle, that's important, and that one size doesn't fit all. And to your point about sewers and waters, sewer and water, and even technical staff in order to do things. Last time with the legislation, we asked the Secretary of Housing and the Speaker of the House and the Governor for money set aside for technical assistance for cities and towns, because we knew the larger cities could afford to do it, but the rural communities didn't have it. So we need money so we can give to the communities, or hire a company to give technical assistance to them. Or if you want housing, and we need more housing, where you might need to put infrastructure in, like sewer, water, whatever, if a community wants it. So those types of things, we're raising those issues with them all the time. We'll continue, as you keep telling us, those are the things we'll raise.
Yeah.
Mr. President, if there's anyone else,
I think, first of all, thank you for coming tonight. It is appreciated
our honor.
in your comments. I think one of the things that holds us back too, communicating to you folks, is that we don't have a town manager. And not one of us can say, hey, Mr. Almonte, we're concerned about this. We could do it personally, but not as officially as a town. You know, maybe that's something that we should be putting on each agenda. You know, if there's a bill or it's out there, we should have a discussion to say, yeah, we want to forward this to Mr. Almonte so they can work on this for us. I think maybe that's something we can do going forward.
That's a good idea.
So those bills, are they just in front of the House right now?
No, they are House and Senate bills.
Gotcha.
Although the 15 that just came out, yes, they came out at the house level.
If we could get a copy of those,
Sure.
if your group could get that to us. Some of us are up at the State House more than others. It'd be interesting to find that out, like, Walter said, you know, we can discuss which ones.
Yeah, and it's been great, you've been able to get information to our town clerk, she's able to funnel that to us,
Yep.
so that's great, but, you know, there's a time factor, because we only meet once every 2 weeks, so, but at least we'll have that information.
And so, if I could, I mean, your town clerk's done a great job, and even asking us for the legislative updates that we give out. And I have to tell you, it's really changed under David, in this role. That legislative update, I encourage you all to take a look at it. It's so much easier to understand and get right to the point, because he lays out what the bill is, what it does, where we stand on the issue. So you can look at where we stand and see if that's in alignment with where you stand, and
I
just
noticed
let
that.
us know.
In the last one.
But it's like, for me, it's like, just get right to the point, like, for it, against it, and why, that's it. But it's really good, and now you get it, so it could be a quick read. And the other thing too is, remember those workshop Wednesdays, those are free. I mean, you get them as would being a member, they're every Wednesday, they're at 10 o'clock, it's 50 minutes. You can get on from anywhere and listen to what's going on. And we bring on, just to give you an example, this week we just had the director of the Division of Motor Vehicles on, because there was a law that passed 2 years ago, it's implemented this year, it's on low-speed vehicles. But you can control, and I'm not talking about golf carts, we're just talking about low-speed vehicles. But you can write regulations at the city and town level on how you regulate them. And what we do at the league, we try to talk to communities, say it was City of Providence wrote a really good regulation, we share that regulation with all of you, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can just look at it and say, that looks good to me, or maybe a sentence different makes it more what we want in our community here. So that it's all available to you.
Thank you for the updates on all the legislation. Because I used to go on Legiscan and try to like see what's going on, but I like the way you categorize everything.
Oh,
Makes
thank
it very
you.
helpful.
Well, David, he does it.
Thanks, Dave.
I won't take credit for something he does. He does an awesome job doing that.
Well,
Yeah.
again, thank you very
So
much.
one
for
thing to
coming.
think about too is, and I know we're not the only example, but I know you have those rural meetings, for example, at 10 a.m. during a weekday. We all work. You know, this isn't our main job, and we have to feed our families, we don't feed it with this. Unlike if we had a town manager, somebody could be there and do that. And I'm sure there's other rural communities, same issues, right? So I don't know how that can be addressed, but you know, if it's at a different time of day, like later in the day, or earlier in the day, just a thought.
Councilman,
Thinking out
that
loud.
probably explains why we had such a low turnout the first time. But we take that feedback, it's an iterative process, so we learn, and you're right, maybe we have to just adjust the time so that we can do it later in the day so that everyone can get on board. I agree, and that probably was the reason why we had 6 people.
It's possible.
Anybody else?
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you
to
for
be here
coming in.
today. Thanks for letting me come back into my old town.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Take care.
We'll get you a Pano jersey next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, thank you very much.
All right, consent, discussion, interaction, approval of town council minutes, regular meeting of February 15, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to table the town council minutes of February 15th, 2024.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unfinished business, creation of charge of Glocester 250th Commission, discussion, interaction. Clerk doesn't have any more information. If we can get a motion to table, please.
Motion to table the future town council meeting when a charge for Glocester 250th Commission is proposed to the town council, review, amendment, and possible adoption.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
B, mobile food establishments, parking, discussion, interaction. The chief was to bring forward more information about and the fees relating to the parking and safety issues. Chief?
Feels like an encore from last night. I spoke with my liaison with the Rhode Island State Traffic Division, Safety Division at DOT. He believes that, he said, we can regulate or prohibit, you know, where we want on Route 44, and that's what I think we talked about with the solicitor, and that concurs with what we talked about. I did a quick traffic study, accident study over a 2-year period. We had 2 accidents coming out of Douglas Hook onto Main Street. And then we had a total of 12, and from CVS to the Rotary, those accidents in between. But we had 2 that came out of there, and then 2, but nothing too serious. If that means anything.
So to that point, Chief, and I don't know if you get that granular or not, was there a food truck at that intersection at that time of day?
I couldn't answer that. I wish I could.
I didn't know if you could.
I wish I could. I'm just going to reiterate what I said last time. And I think it was Councilman Burlingame brought up, we had problems coming out of Douglas Hook, and the state took out that parking to corner, which we originally had during the Main Street revitalization in the Rotary. So they took that out. It's a line of sight problem, and that could happen from coming out of Kitson's, that could happen, you know, coming out of the child care. At times, we're very, very busy, and if you have a lot of traffic, a lot of parking on both sides, it could be a little difficult.
Yeah, because, you know, to your point, the line of sight, you could have a pickup truck there, and you're gonna have the same issue as far as line of sight coming out, because the truck,
Even
pickup
if
truck,
if you had 2 cars there on both sides and you're coming out, it's a narrow road. It's an interstate, narrow road that's through to Connecticut, and it's a tough location when we're busy. Even when we're not busy, I've come here on Town Hall, you know, do my business and I leave, and you know, if it's busy, it's even with 1 car out there, it's, you know, you gotta take it cautiously. So.
Do you get a lot of complaints from town residents about it, or?
No, not at all. We have some people have complained about it, but not from town. Probably from in here because people and employees, because they're using that all the time. But no.
So that, with the state having a little bit of some room in there, does it allow us to give us, or cross off areas that we would recommend not to park?
I think we could, and I think that was, I used them the last time to put those stripes in, to not have the parking, because we identified Douglas Hook in 44 as a problem. This is years ago, as we revitalized. So that helped out, so we took away 1 spot, that would be north and south of Douglas, with that line stripe. Now, we could probably do other stuff, but I mean, I don't know how much you want to take off Main
Like
Street.
location 1 can go to this person, location 2 can go to this person, location 3. What do we have, 5? So if we had like designated areas that, you know, food trucks could actually physically park.
Oh,
Everything else is off the table.
that would be up to the council to make that decision. Yeah, but I don't feel that they're a safety impact, because it's not going to make a difference if you have a food truck in the middle, or if you had 3 pickup trucks or 10 cars from the tavern to Douglas. So that's tough coming on a Family Dollar, and any time of the day it's going to be difficult. We've got a lot of traffic going through it. I'm just, you know, like I said, I get 450,000 cars that come through a month over here.
Right.
So you said there's been 2 accidents over the past few years. And
2 years.
And you're not really getting a lot of complaints.
2 years, we had 12 accidents between CVS and the Rotary, and 2 accidents coming out of Douglas Hook in the last 2 years. And I can't recall how much, if there was a personal injury or anything like that. I didn't look them up. I wouldn't know off the top of my head if there was, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay?
You know, the only thing, I think it's hard to regulate, because like you said, if you had 3 pickup trucks there, 3 cars, you're gonna have the same vision problem. But maybe it's something that we look at as far as, I know it's on the books that they can only be there a certain amount of time.
I think we have 4
So
hours.
maybe
right?
that's something, if we're concerned about that and we needed to act on something, maybe that's something to get a little more enforcing on, I don't know. That's just a thought.
He's not
No, that's what I mean, so.
I mean, I guess if we had a lot of complaints, then we'd address it.
Or public safety issues.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, C, charging usage fees for use of town-owned property, discussion, interaction. At the last meeting, council asked Director Tremmel, Director of Public Works, and Bob Shields, Recreation Director, to provide the council with costs and maintenance for town fields. Council received the following memo from Mr. Shields, Recreation Director. To Gloucester Town Council from Robert Shields, Recreation Director. Date March 3rd, 2024, subject use of town facilities by Pontigansett Regional School System. Pontigansett Regional School System's new policy regarding the use of their facilities has had a detrimental effect on Gloucester recreation activities. They have decided to allow Gloucester youth activities to use the region's facilities without paying rental or cleaning fees. However, for adult activities, they are waiving the usage fee for the year, but charging a cleaning fee of $75 per day. This is a departure from their previous policy where the town of Gloucester, as a tax contributing member of the region, had a long history of running adult activities at the region's facility without being charged fees. The region's decision to charge fees for adult activities disregards the fact that Gloucester taxpayer dollars contribute to these region's funding. It also overlooks the shared goal of providing the community with the best possible activities and opportunities. In response, there's been discussion of altering the field use policy for town of Gloucester facilities, which would specifically affect the Pontigansett Middle School baseball team. While I strongly disagree with the region's new policy and consider it short-sighted, I do not recommend potentially charging fees for the use of town facilities. Lowering ourselves to the same level as the region's actions would be an unproductive approach. Instead, we should maintain a higher standard and continue to advocate for a more cooperative and community-oriented policy from Pontigansett Regional School System. Thus far, my efforts to change the region's stance, including attending several meetings along with a letter that was sent by the Gloucester Town Council, have been ineffective. To make more substantial progress, I recommend the Town Council and School Committee arrange a face-to-face meeting to come to an understanding that serves the best interests of our community. A unified approach from our town's leadership may be more effective in resolving this issue cooperatively. And a memo. Very well written, Bob. So, I 100% agree with Bob.
So, a couple things. The region's policy never changed. It's always been to charge. They just weren't enforcing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what they're trying to do, I spoke with the athletic director, the superintendent, and a couple members of the school committee over the past month or so, trying to get, the reasoning behind it. They're just trying to enforce that policy going forward to be consistent with everybody up there. They're not charging the Little League to go in there because the kids are Gloucester residents and stuff. They're charging, like, if the Titans go, because Titans are like Foster, Gloucester, and Situate, so they're outside town. And I think their understanding is a lot of our rec programs, the basketball and the volleyball, might be out-of-town people, non-residents using it.
Too.
Right.
And Foster doesn't pay.
No, I'm saying, but they, I'm not saying Foster, I'm saying they might be out there like Situate or Johnston or Connecticut residents, for example,
They
so.
could be.
I think that's their kind of stance on it, is if they're bringing people from, non-residents in, they're gonna charge that modest fee. So I don't think, again, I don't think we need to be charging Leisure Field for anything. I spoke with Bob a little bit earlier today, he's gonna come hopefully next season with an alternative solutions, what he's thinking about doing. But they're just enforcing the existing policy is what they're doing.
Okay.
And again, that's what was told to me. It doesn't seem like they're gonna change.
No, it doesn't seem like it. They didn't answer our letter, so they didn't have the courtesy to respond to our letter. At least they could have told us that. But, I wanted to go through this exercise for a couple of reasons. One is, I wanted to find out how much it actually does cost to maintain Leisure Field. I'm sure it's not cheap. And, there's, at the middle school, they have students from Foster who use that field as well. There's two separate issues here. One is, maintenance of our fields, keeping our facilities up, right? And through different usage from different community groups. We know Little League uses that, but I also mentioned last time that Little League, they put a lot of sweat equity into it. They put money into that field. So middle school, region, I don't think they've done anything as far as I know. I could be wrong. The other point is, it's a separate but same subject, is the region charging our taxpayers twice to use those facilities.
Well, I think that's why they said that it's non-residents that are using it a lot.
So we have non-residents that use this too, but we don't charge them. You know, so.
We don't have a
But
policy.
the thing is, they're sweeping the floor. They already have the people there working it. It's not like they're out there cutting the grass, they're redoing the infield, all of that. So it's two separate things. I just think it's wrong what they're doing. But on this point, I wanna see what it costs for maintenance, because, you know, maybe there is a point that we do have to start charging. I'm not saying there is, but, it's not done for free. And we do have non-residents from those organizations that use it, so, you know, you could use that argument that they're using, so, but I don't want to,
We can make that policy again, but we probably also have non-residents use the pickleball field, you know,
Sure,
courts and all the other stuff. So if that's something we're gonna do, I don't think we go, again, tit for tat with the region. I think they're just enforcing a policy they've had, and for whatever reasons, again, that's we're not in control of them, that's the school
that's
committee.
very true.
So they make their decisions, they make their policies. I don't think it's for us to say, hey, you know, we don't like what you did, so we don't wanna do it. You know, we have to accept their policy or just not use their facility.
Well, I just think taxpayers have to understand they're getting taxed twice. That's basically what they're doing.
But I understand what you're saying, Walt, but I think there's a lot of non-residents using it as well. That's the only
I don't think
group
it's a
they're
lot.
targeting.
I don't think it's a lot.
Why
I
not?
think there are some, because as long as I've, like, used that for played basketball there forever. And there were people from Glocester. There were people from Smithfield who used to live in town, who would come back and play, that type of thing, and there was never any problems.
Well, I think that's part of their point too, is they said there's a lot of alumni that use it, but they don't live in town anymore. They live in Connecticut now or Smithfield. So, again, that's on them, and again, I've
Yeah.
spoken with them, and they're not gonna change their stance on
Yeah,
it. from what I
that's
can tell.
fine. So, I did ask, I don't know if Gary, did you have any preliminary numbers? I asked if you could come up with any numbers on how much it does cost to maintain the field during the season.
Well, I did what it would cost to mow the field. So it's 2 guys, a couple hours, 2 mowers, fuel, truck, trailer, get the stuff there. Weed whackers, everything that goes along with it, it's about $460 to mow the field. Games they play, you know, sometimes it's twice a week, depending on what the weather is. It rains
So
a
it's
lot.
at least once a week then?
It's at least once a week. So that doesn't count if you worked on the infield or you fertilized or you did anything else. That's just like general basic motor field. You wanna get right into the weeds, then that's a whole other thing.
All right, well, thank you for checking on that, Gary. So it kind of gives us an idea of what we're talking about here as far as actual cost to maintain that field. So, but I wanted to have that exercise because I think it's important, and, you know, maybe somewhere down the road, we do have to do that. We do have to implement some type of thing. So, to your point, John, the region, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. We have no say. They just hand us a bill at the end of the year, and that's about it.
That's true.
I mean, rough numbers, you're probably talking almost $16,000 worth of grass cutting.
Well, even during the season, what they play about 6 weeks, Steve, 7 weeks?
So middle school, we use,
The middle school will use that field for 2 months.
It's 8 weeks.
Of course, the Gloucester Little League uses that field for 6 months, but that's neither
But they
here
put a
nor.
lot of time and effort into. you know,
Sure, and
to work on
you
it.
have to live in Gloucester to be in the Gloucester
Right,
Little League.
right.
So, you know, but yeah, I would say the middle school will use that 2 months straight.
Yep, okay. That's all I got.
Good. All right. D, police station renovation replacement update, discussion, interaction. We had a great discussion last night. We had the engineers who were designing the building came in last night, gave us an update on the costs for renovating. You know, they're not against either one, right? So new building or fixing the old building. There was what, a $2.4 million gap, somewhere through there. You know, there's some money involved with state funding and federal funding. That would bring that price down, plus whatever we do with the parcel of land that's already there. If we sell it, rezone it, try to get as much money as we can for it, we could definitely bring that gap in. I think that, you know, with the conversations from last night, you know, I think there was like 9 people that spoke. 6 of them basically were, you know, we'd rather see a new station and get it right. But I think we're all concerned with the numbers. You know, the gentleman last night from Secosio Associates, it's hard to get real numbers right now. You know, we're seeing that our building's around $850 a square foot. Foster's at $1,025. They showed us some numbers of some recent projects, and they're all floating around the same spot. So building right now is not cheap. And I think as a council, we want to make the best decision, but the best decision is going to be obviously with the voice of our citizens here in Gloucester. I don't think too many people don't want to see the chief get some kind of an update. They've outgrown the building. You know, two thought processes. Well, I'm only in Gloucester for the next 10 years, or what's best for Gloucester, you know, 40 years from now. I tend to want to put Gloucester in a better situation than we left it. Again, you know, we have to dial these numbers and get these numbers locked in even further. So I think the process of continuing to get these numbers more solid and close, so that way the people of Gloucester can make a good decision on, you know, making the updates or going to new land. I would like to kind of discuss a little bit about, you know, some thoughts of, you know, this didn't pass and, you know, we're trying to sneak it around. You know, not many people on this council was part of any of the previous discussions of what's there now. You know, we have the land now. The land was purchased at an incredible price. You know, that piece of property can be used for many generations, adding on, or, you know, whatever the town needs. The location of the police department now will never get any bigger. It will always be the same size. Depending on technology or whatever happens in the future, you know, 30 years from now, you know, there could be a very good chance that, you know, $12 million, $13 million project now could be triple that in 30 years from now. So I think, again, it's very important for all of us to look at this and make the best decision for the future of Gloucester, not for, you know, what's happening right now. And some of the gentlemen that even spoke last night, you know, some of them were up there, you know, they're probably definitely getting a break on taxes. They've been here for a long time. They want to continue to finish living their lives here. And, you know, they basically said, whatever you do, do it right. And we recommend a new location. But we can't make our decisions on that. We have to, again, have the best details, the best pricing that we can get to move forward with that. So with that, I'll let everybody.
I think there were some good takeaways from last night. It was great feedback, and frankly, today was had a lot of feedback from people who were not at the meeting, but took the time to call and share their thoughts with me. You know, I sit squarely on the fence based on details that we don't have yet, and so we're working on exact borrowing cost numbers, what that looks like, what that impact would be for the community. We are hopeful that there may be some more grant dollars awarded to us, and we should know that in a relatively short period of time, within the next few weeks, I'd like to think. So that could make a big impact on what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. you know, and I think it's quite obvious, we need to make sure we have a professional, you know, working for us to make sure we're not overpaying for anything. And I think, you know, between now and the next meeting, we'll have more of a clear idea on that, but somebody looking out for our pocketbook, because I don't build police stations for a living, and I don't build additions to police stations for a living. So I think that there's been some good feedback, and, you know, certainly can promise the community we're gonna do everything we can to make the best decision, to have on the ballot, to let the community vote on.
And I should have prefaced before, Steve, if you weren't here last night, there's work that we have to do. So we have to look into actually a bunch of things. So, you know, we weren't obviously able to do all of that between last night and tonight, but there's marching orders for us to do more research, to provide you guys with more information.
I'm curious as to what the cost of the site development for both parcels of land would be prior to even building, just getting the site ready.
So those estimates were in.
They were in the.
Yeah, they were line item.
In line items
Yes.
in last night's presentation.
You know, to kind of echo a lot of what's been said here, you know, there's different ways to fund this as well, so we do have to investigate the different avenues to finance, if whatever option is chosen to present to the voters, we have to look at that. As mentioned, if we were to go to a new location, you know, we'd have to get a real look at what would be the real return on a sale of the old property, so we'd have to get a real estimate on that. So that would all factor into the whole equation. You know, in our charter, it talks about any new capital projects, there should be a building committee. It says shall, it doesn't say it has to, it shall be one, so, you know, I would leave that to Mr. Leozzi to interpret that. But to Steve's point, we do need someone who is advocating for us, being the manager of this project, right? So whether it's a PM or a project manager or whatever we determine, that's something we have to figure out as well. So there's a lot of things that we, as a council, need to make sure are buttoned down before we present that to the taxpayers to make a decision, you know. But I think the chief brought it up last night. You know, there's two options, right? So there's the option to stay where we are and add on. There's that option, and the chief has mentioned that will work, right? That will be functional for the police department for a certain amount of time. Mr. Sakosio brought it up last night that once you do that, that site is done. There's no more expansion at that point, just because of the size of the site, right? So there's that. With the new location, you know, there's opportunities to add on, right, in the future. Because what we're looking to do is, to Will's point and everybody's point, is we want to make sure that this lasts not 10, 20 years. This is going to be a generational location where, you know, as the town grows, it's going to be able to support whatever comes down the road, okay? And, you know, we talk about price. Price is very important. You know, I don't want to have to spend any more than we have to. But we also mentioned price is only going to go up. The longer, you know, even if we did something right now to, the chief mentioned last night, even if the voters say no, we're not doing either one of those options, we're still going to have to spend $2 to $3 million just to update the station to make it functionable, if that's a word, I don't know, functional, for the near future. And then 5, 10 years from now, we're going to be right back having the same conversation. I won't be, but somebody will be having that same conversation. So those are things to think about in this whole process.
The one other thing you just hit on it in your comments was the idea of a building committee, so I reached out and we a couple weeks ago saying, you know, hey, I wonder if this makes sense to enroll the safety commission. And the reality of it is, this is not technically safety commission stuff. This is more a building committee. And, you know, the issue right now is we are under, you know, there's certainly some time pressures here, and we can't rush into something just because there's time pressures, but the reality of it is we don't wanna lose any, grant money we have, so, but I have spoken with a few members of the community. I don't know, it's certainly not on the agenda tonight. I don't know what we have, maybe we put it on for the next meeting about, you know, the formation, but we're dealing with a tight time frame at this point with what we have to utilize the grants that have been awarded. So, but I do like the idea of that.
I'm not sure when that happens, like a building committee, that's probably not,
Probably not until it's approved, right?
it's approved, and then that's where why form one if, it's not approved, right, so, but that's something
Yeah,
that can
so
be done
that could
relatively
be,
quickly, yeah, but
Right.
that's somewhere on the list.
it is, members of the community looking out for the town of Gloucester's best interest, and we've got a lot of talented people in this town, a lot of people with construction experience, this kind of thing, so I guess we're all saying the same thing, we're all trying to get this right here for the town of Gloucester.
And a question for Jean, when the senior center was built, there was a
Yeah.
building committee, right?
Yeah, they were excellent.
Okay, so okay, that's
We have the minutes and
Yeah.
all their.
great.
That was out of us, but yes. it was.
Okay, so we need to keep that on the radar then.
Anybody else?
I just, question, would it be a good idea, I know we talked last night about changing the zoning from residential to commercial, and would it be advantageous to get appraisals of the existing building based on residential and commercial, just so we have an idea of perhaps what the return that we could get if we sold the building?
Yeah, I think that's, well,
Yeah,
touched on.
that's something that we would wanna make sure is done, right? We wanna,
I think that would
Maximize
really
that
be
profit.
effective in
Oh, you
making the
definitely
decision.
put it on commercial.
so that's something we can speak with our attorney and our planner on, see how all that would play out.
Anybody else? All right. New business resolution authorizing,
I don't know, Will, if we wanted to, if there was anybody that had any questions that
Yep.
possibly could answer.
Maybe have any opinions, yeah.
There's somebody up there.
yes, please, come on up, just state your name and where you're from.
I'm Linda Saran, I live at 1246 Putnam Pike, otherwise known as the Crazy Lighthouse. I'm sure you all know where I live.
Thank you.
You're
We love driving by.
Have we done a study on what a hardscape on that property is gonna do to my neighbor and our yards? Because right now, I'm barely not wetlands. Like, I can't bring my mower into the back third of my yard until June, unless I wanna get a chain and tow it out. Same thing goes for Justin's yard. If that plot becomes a parking lot, a building, I'm on a hill, that's gonna run into their yard, on our yard.
Any
Is that-
site work that would be done, they would have to,
Has to stay on
has,
site.
yeah,
Will knows about this.
I do know about this.
And our wells, I mean,
So, they brought that up last night,
Yeah.
that you shouldn't have any problems with your wells. But as far as any kind of work that's being done, you know, if anytime any kind of construction, you have site work done, they have to look at the water table, drainage, and all that other good stuff, and Chief is actually behind it.
And that's, once a decision's made or prior, that has to be done with the engineers.
Right.
Whether we get highway to help us or we do an outsourcer to do that. So we're gonna work on that, before any final decision's made. Okay, and we understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Well,
thank you for bringing that up.
and, I mean, right now, I mean, I moved out here to get out of the city. If I wanted to live next to a fire station, I'd still live in Cranston.
Sure.
I mean, you turning the property next to their home into a commercial lot, in 10 years, do we put a Cumbies after that? And then maybe somebody wants to have a store, and then you know, once you open
So it's
And
town
doors.
property?
About the
You mean
police
on
the
station.
new,
Station.
We're
the
talking
new
about-
lot,
No, we're talking old lot be commercial,
Right,
not new.
but if you're gonna put a new station there, that's not gonna be residential anymore.
But it's town property.
Town property.
Nobody can buy, it's town property.
Right, so next to
Can't put a
it,
company.
Can't put a companies, right.
so
Yeah.
there's not gonna be any change of the zoning there.
No,
No. I guess zone a police station there. I mean,
right. I saw plans of what that was going to be before the town bought it.
Well, yeah, I heard that it was supposed to be, some
A lot of
developer wanted
houses.
it, 9 houses and all
Right.
this garbage, and we didn't want that
Yes,
there
yeah.
either. It just seems like this issue's come up a lot in conversation in town, and it keeps getting shot down, but it seems like you guys keep taking the spaghetti and throwing it on the wall, hoping for something to stick.
No,
Well, that's, so
I mean,
that's,
I'm just saying that's how it seems.
we know.
sure, I mean, we
We know.
understand.
You know, perspective of town gossip, which is, you
Which
know,
is gossip, yeah. but-
gossip, but
but
some of it's
please.
based in truth.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were told that that property was bought just so a developer couldn't have it. We never heard anything about it being used for a police station or fire station.
So the only reason why I came up with the police department was because we wanted to make sure that when we were trying to figure out, are we gonna just keep fixing something or possibly have a new location to have it? The town does own property. What's going to be there could be anything, right? In theory, any kind of town-related, service.
Could be
Another
basketball
pavilion,
courts.
anything, right?
Right, so,
Expand the park.
Does that make a great place to put a police department? Right on 44, they can get to anywhere, your house will be nice and safe.
That's a
and-
10-acre parcel that
Yeah.
you acquired, and we're gonna barely take 2 acres of it, and it's not a huge footprint. You would look at our station now, and probably just double that and put that there. So it's not a big, and I'd like to just talk to you outside, and I'll clear up that
Yeah.
misconception.
I'm just thinking like radio tower signals, how's that gonna affect us?
That would be that, yep,
Um,
that would be definitely that, yep.
And just on a personal note, sound, I don't do well with fire trucks and
Sure.
I really don't want that outside my bedroom window. To tell you, I mean, when a fire truck's coming through town, I can kinda hear it starting to come and I kinda look out the window and wonder if
So
my neighbor's.
Fire departments are separate from us, so that
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with this,
You-
and
you
that's
west-
what the problem on that last thing, and
Yeah.
I'll talk to you outside, I don't want to
Yeah,
talk
all
to you, but, that's nothing to do with this. This is a small footprint, it's not as big as you would think, and we're taking 2 acres of that whole 10-acre parcel, and it's one foot the front, so.
which is gonna be out their bedroom window, Justin, so I'll step
No,
away.
but to your points though, I'm glad you came up and asked those questions.
Yes.
Because you're asking us who can give you real answers,
Right,
facts,
'cause I mean,
not the gossip
is,
and all
you
that.
know, Bob said, Steve said that Joe was
Yep.
there.
And listen, because you're here, right, you have a voice, obviously. If you're part of how we go about everything, you get, it's when you're not a part of something and all of a sudden something gets made up. It's like you weren't part of the decision-making. So I'm glad you came.
And actually, a decision hasn't been made yet. It may not end up there.
Correct.
But the fact that you came because you care and you want to ask those questions, I wish more people would do that.
Well, I like the deer in my backyard.
no matter what
Me
decision
too.
we make,
No.
no matter what decision we make, it's gonna go to the voters regardless. So
Yes.
we don't make the decision, we're just gonna try to decide the best presentation for you to vote on, say yay or nay.
You're right, correct.
So we don't actually have the authority to just make that decision.
Anybody else? Come on up.
My name is Justin Brazoza, 1252 Putnam Pike, the house directly next to the proposed site for the new police department. So on top of everything Linda already said, a couple questions. I did watch the stream of the meeting last night. So one of the residents made a point of, he remembers he was on the department about 30 years ago when they made the decision to move to the station where it is now and avoid, history repeats itself, and why don't we just build new? Well, my question is, you're causing history to repeat itself by building another new building. I guess my questions are, how do we let the police station get to the state that is in now? And not perform better maintenance over the years. And what's to prevent that from happening again at another new building and 30 years down the road say, okay, we need to go somewhere else.
I think the perspective of that comment last night was kind of what I said earlier, do it right this time, right? So the land, like I said, cannot get any bigger. So, you know, we're not, I don't think anybody's up here saying build a new police department, okay? We're trying to navigate through all the information to let the town people say whether or not which direction we're gonna go in, right?
Right.
So that spot in 40 years can never be any bigger than it is, okay? So we're current where it is currently. Coming to a 10-acre parcel, you know, not that Gloucester's gonna turn into the next Route 2 in Warwick, okay? But if it does need anything in, you know, what happens if they go to complete digital cars, you know, in 40 years from now? Who knows? They're gonna be landing airplanes in that little field, whatever. You know, you have the ability over there, instead of having, what's that, a 2-acre parcel? 1 acre?
Yeah, it's about a little over two.
It's a postage stamp lot where they're on right now. So we have the ability to put it in a place that's got more land around it for whatever is going to happen in 40 years. I think is what he was trying to say when he said, don't let history repeat itself by buying a small parcel and trying to stuff a big building on it.
It was, I would say though, just for what I don't really feel it's not the maintenance, it's more of the change, it's more space than letting a building go. You know, councils before us spend money maintaining that building.
It's clean,
and so,
it's a clean building.
And so, you know, but there are factors beyond. I mean, you know, 34 years ago, you didn't need 30 monitors in a room with eyeballs in schools, right? So that just wasn't a thing 34 years ago. So, but I just wanted to mention that I don't think it was it's not a maintenance thing over there. It's yeah, they've got some challenges over there with water tape. There's things out of control, but it's not a maintenance thing. It's a space thing. You know, again, we used to have two people on duty at one time. Now there's far more than that. So that I just wanted to.
Yeah, I think what the chief's gonna say too is that, you know, one of the space issues, technology, there's also new laws in place that more requirements to keep documentation, to evidence all of that, which they've outgrown, because 30 years ago, we were a smaller town, right? They have less, he went through a lot of that, and I'll let the chief handle that anymore.
It's just, also as personnel, we have 25 employees now, not all sworn officers, but the administrative has doubled and tripled over the years. So it's growing pains, besides some of the cosmetics and stuff inside. Just back to the neighbors, we have, and the captain will attest to this, we have a great relationship with our neighbors in the mobile home park. I think they're gonna probably, if we did leave, if that decision was made, I think they would probably be upset that we're leaving, because we do have a great relationship with the captain.
If I can, just alleviate some other stuff, I'm a property owner, and sometimes when people, you know, might put a road in beside your house, if this was to come to fruition, both either the contractors or maybe even the town, I'm sure they're gonna take you into, you know, a priority for maybe a buffer, tree lines and stuff like that, fencing, lighting issues and stuff like that. That's all gonna be as part of the concept. So, and then being right there, being the immediate neighbor, you have a voice. You can state those concerns. We don't. Where's my food truck guy? We don't rip out of the parking lot with Simons all the time, especially certain hours of the day, unless we got to stop the traffic that's coming out. So we're aware of that. We're sensitive to that. When the guys are running out of there 2 or 3 in the morning on a call, we're not firing up the sirens and whatnot. So, and that could be addressed also. Can't.
You wouldn't even know whether that, other than the structure itself. You wouldn't even know.
But any good neighbor, no matter what, usually if somebody's developing property, you have a voice, and hopefully you can say, hey, I want some vegetation over here, can we maintain that? So the privacy and the lighting and stuff could also be addressed. So, all right, so don't think you won't have a voice, it'll probably build you in and talk to you a little bit. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're here asking these questions of us, where you get answers, I appreciate, and I'm glad you did. And again, this is for anybody, if you do have questions, please direct them to the council. We want to be transparent, we want to give you as much information as possible. So,
If we have committees, get on them, lots of things to do. We all need it takes a village, right? And we're a village.
Yep.
So this is good, so.
did you have any other questions or?
No, actually, Chief and the captain just helped address some of my other questions of concerns with, visibility of the building and lights coming in our bedroom windows
Right.
and things like that. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Carrie Shea, 22 Grants Way.
This is more about the development of the site, and since it's come to this point, we don't know if it's going to be there or not, but I think it has to be brought up about Adelaide Road, and I would appreciate that when people start talking about this project, they don't refer to it as Adelaide Road, because it's not. It's 1272 Putnam Pike. It was difficult to hear Captain Fague just say that people will have a say, because when Gloucester Memorial Park was built, it was built and there was no access to it other than the senior center or Sherman Lane. And they decided not to use that, and they took Adelaide Road, which is private property, and they took the right to use it. They didn't take the road, they took the right to use it by eminent domain. And no one was compensated for it, and there certainly wasn't a say about the neighbors. We absolutely fought it tooth and nail not to be taking our private property. It was taken. And now that the town has the opportunity, because they own that property, I think it's time to make that right. And when you're considering this, I think you need to do access to Gloucester Memorial Park on that parcel of land and abandon use of Adelaide Road, which is a private road. And I think it's time for that to be addressed. So when this comes up, I think that needs to be addressed with this whole big project, because that has never been settled. And it's really, to hear you all say that you appreciate what we have to say and you're going to take our input, that certainly wasn't the case when Gloucester Memorial Park was being built. And you had to build the access road to Gloucester Memorial Park by Mrs. Steer actually donating a piece of property so that road could be built. And you didn't, for some reason, the town did not want to use the true access, which was by the senior center. It wasn't there then, but that was it. So with that property being there, I think it's time to abandon it and stop referring it to as Adelaide Road. It's 1272 Putnam Pike. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we can definitely take that into consideration. Anybody else? All right. New business. Resolution authorizing town council president to enter an agreement with the purchase and subdivision of property located at Plat 14, Lot 92, P&S previously authorized 7/21/22. Discussion or action. Number 1, Resolution 2024-01 to execute sale documents. 2, Resolution 24-02 executive administrative subdivision documents, Town of Gloucester. Resolution 2024-01 sale of property. Resolution 2024-02 administrative subdivision. Whereas the Town of Gloucester is a Rhode Island municipal corporation, whereas on August 5th, 2022, the Town of Gloucester entered a purchase and sale agreement by and between RLM2 LLC with a mailing address of 137 Kane Avenue, Middletown, Rhode Island 02842, which is seller, and the Town of Gloucester, Rhode Island Municipal Corporation, buyer, with a mailing address of 1145 Putnam Pike, P.O. Box B, Chepachet, Rhode Island 02814. And whereas the agreement provided that the seller agreed to sell and convey, and the buyer agrees to buy that certain lot or parcel of land adjacent to 162 Chopmas Hill Road, known as portion of Assessor's Plat 14, Lot 92, consisting of 21,668 square feet. And whereas the buyer has appropriated $125,000 plus $5,000 for expenses for the purchase of the property from the American Rescue Act Plan Act, ARPA funds distributed by the Town of Gloucester by unanimous vote by the Town Council on August 4th, 2022. And whereas the agreement further provided that the consideration of the executed deed, the buyer will pay the seller sum payable as follows: $125,000 due and payable at closing by cash, certified check, and or bank check. And whereas seller and buyer are bound by all contingencies, including in said purchase and sales agreement, and now therefore William A. Worthy Jr., Town Council President, shall be authorized, empowered, and directed to execute, acknowledge, and deliver on behalf of the Town of Gloucester and all deeds, settlement statements, affidavits, documents, or any other instruction required to purchase that certain lot or parcel of land, being a portion of that parcel of land described as Assessor's Plat 14, Lot 92, and consisting of 21,668 square feet and identified as Parcel A on the attached plot plan prepared by Norbert Theron, land surveyor, and dated 8/21/2019, copy which is attached in Exhibit A for the sum of $125,000, and all the documents or instruments that be required will be in such form and content as the town solicitor shall deem necessary or advisable. Execute, acknowledge, and deliver on behalf of the Town of Gloucester and any and all deeds, settlement statements, affidavits, documents, or any other instruments required to complete the administrative subdivision to divide the above described Parcel A as shown on Exhibit A from Assessor's Plat 14, Lot 92, and add Parcel A to Assessor's Plat 14, Lot 94. Seller will cooperate with buyer and execute all necessary applications and documents required by the planner to complete the administrative subdivision. Attached copy of Exhibit A and plot plan. Any and all documents of instruments that will be required will be in such form as content as the town solicitor shall deem necessary or advisable. Pay expenses not to exceed $5,000 due and payable at closing by cash, certified check, and or bank check as required to complete the purchase of that certain lot or parcel land, being a portion of the parcel of land described as Assessor's Plat 14, Lot 92, and consisting of 21,668 square feet and identified as Parcel A on the attached plot plan prepared by Norbert Theron, land surveyor, and dated 8/21/2019, copy of which is attached as Exhibit A. Take all actions as required to effectuate the purpose of these resolutions, and hereby in all respect ratified, confirmed, and approved as the act or acts of the Town of Gloucester. The undersigned, the duly elected Town Council of Gloucester, have hereunto set their hands and caused the resolution to be adopted. This resolution shall take effect upon passed by the Town Council this date, March 7th, 2024.
Second.
I don't think that's the motion yet.
It is. Right, I guess, you got a second?
Yep.
I get roll call, please.
Councilor Greathouse?
Aye.
Councilor Steer?
Aye.
Councilor Burlingame?
Aye.
Councilor Arnold?
Aye.
Councilor Worthy?
Aye. B, authorization to sign, discussion, and interaction, Gloucester School Deficit Correction Action Plan. The Town Council has asked the Gloucester School Committee and the Superintendent to prepare a more detailed plan to address a budgetary deficit in the current budget. A letter was approved to be forwarded to the RI Chief of Municipal Finance with a remediation, thank you, plan prepared by the Superintendent of Gloucester Schools to correct the deficit in the school department budget at the Town Council meeting of 2/15/24, but the plan was not sufficient. If that's the motion right there, right? All right, can I get a motion?
Yep, I make a motion to authorize the Town Council President and the Assistant Interim Finance Director to sign the solicitor's correspondence to the RI Chief of Municipal Finance that will be forwarded with an approved remediation plan prepared by the Superintendent of Gloucester Schools to correct the deficit in the current school department budget.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 2, Stripe, Administration Access Authorization Correspondence. Matt Floor, IT Director, is requesting the Town Council President sign authorization letter. 2, the letter is to gain administration access to the town's e-permitting account. Prior authorization was held by the former Finance Director only, therefore transactions cannot be made. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to authorize the Town Council President to sign an administrative request for the Town of Gloucester Stripe account with OpenGov, which would allow the IT Director to to replace the former finance director as the management/ownership designee for this account.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. ARPA funds, transfer of outstanding balances, discussion, interaction. The interim finance director has prepared a list of outstanding ARPA funds, which she recommends for transfer to other projects in process. Date 3/1/2024 to Honorable Town Council from Jane A. Steer, Tax Collector, Interim Finance Director. ARPA funds. I have been in the process of updating the ARPA fund spreadsheet. I have checked with the departments and the following projects have been completed. Project 3, medical transport van, project completed balance $12,904. Project 5, light towers, project complete balance $71. Project 6, iPad loaner, senior center balance $6,336 per mat floor. Leave $2,000 for cell service and move $4,336. Project 21, Gator and Trailer project complete, balance $698. Project 39, loader tires, project complete, balance $6,047. The above finished projects total $24,056. I'm suggesting that the balances be moved to Project 31, San Souci appraisal. Total spent to this date so far is $259,928.02. I expect other invoices might be forthcoming. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to transfer balances from completed projects: number 3, medical transport van, number 5, light towers, number 6, iPad loaners, number 21, Gator and trailer, and number 39, loader tires, for a total of $24,056 to project number 31, San Souci appraisal.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
D, appointment town council representatives, EMS and fire district meetings, discussion, interaction. Clerk has received notification back from the 3 fire districts with names of their board members that we can contact for a meeting. Council can choose 2 councilors to meet with these representatives as previously discussed.
So I asked to be one, I know, initiated this, so I
I
asked to
would-
be one person.
I would like to as well.
I'll make a motion to authorize Counselor Worthy and Counselor Steer to meet with representatives of the Gloucester Fire Districts regarding the future of EMS.
Okay,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
E, personnel discussion interaction, appointments, police department, 1 part-time dispatcher and 1 full-time dispatcher. Council has received the following request from the chief. Honorable town council members, Chief Joseph Dupree, February 22nd, 2024. Subject, police department part-time dispatcher appointment. Dear council members, I respectfully request to make the following employment appointment to the Gloucester Police Department. Appoint Taylor Malone of Cranston, Rhode Island to permanent part-time dispatcher position for the Gloucester Police Department at a training rate of $16 per hour, starting the week Sunday, February 25th, 2024. Once Taylor Malone satisfactorily completes her training, her salary will increase to $22 per hour. She must complete a police background investigation as a condition of her employment. This part-time position fills a 16 to 24-hour void in a full-time dispatcher schedule. There will be no fringe benefits with this position. Ms. Malone has police and fire dispatch experience with North Kingstown Police Department and will easily transition into the permanent part-time position. Respectfully submitted, Joseph Delpreet, Chief of Police. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to appoint Taylor Malone to the position of part-time dispatcher with the Gloucester Police Department effective February 25th, 2024, contingent upon a successful police background investigation. Said position includes no fringe benefits and starts with a rate of $16 per hour. Once training is complete, the rate of salary increases to $22 per hour.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chief also submitted the following request to Don Zimmerman, Human Resource, from Chief Joseph Delpreet, date February 22nd, 2024. Subject, Police Department full-time dispatcher appointment. Dear Mr. Zimmerman, I would respectfully request to make the following appointment to the Gloucester Police Department. Appoint Eric McLaughlin of North Smithfield, Rhode Island to permanent full-time dispatcher position with the Gloucester Police Department. Mr. McLaughlin is currently employed as a permanent part-time dispatcher at the Gloucester Police Department. He has extensive dispatch experience and will elevate to the full-time position with the vacancy of Mr. Jeffrey Medeiros. Mr. McLaughlin will be afforded the first step salary and fringe benefits under the Laborers International Union Local 1322 Full-Time Dispatchers Collective bargaining agreement. He will further be placed on 6-month probation according to the dispatchers union collective bargaining agreement. I would further request with Eric McLaughlin be appointed and start full-time position scheduled after March 7th, 2024. Once again, this full-time dispatch appointment will fill the vacancy and resignation of Mr. Jeffrey Medeiros effective February 25th, 2024. Respectfully submitted, Joseph Delpre, Chief of Police. And a memo. Can I get a motion?
Motion to appoint Eric McLaughlin to the position of full-time police dispatcher with the Gloucester Police Department. Said appointment will start with the first step salary and fringe benefits under the Laborers International Union Local 1322 full-time dispatchers collective bargaining agreement. This appointee will be placed on 6 months probation according to said agreement and will have an effective date of March 7th, 2024.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Senior Center authorization to post for substitute meal site coordinators. Council's received the following requests. 2 honorable members of the Gloucester Town Council, from Don Zimmerman, Acting Director of Human Resources. Subject, substitute meal site coordinator. Date February 14, 2024. Melissa Bovier, Director of the Glocester Senior Center, is seeking council approval to post for 1 or 2 additional substitute meal site coordinators to add to her list of on-call workers. I recommend the council approve. The regular meal site coordinator is a part-time position responsible for servicing the catering lunches at the center, assuring food safety and maintaining a clean and safe kitchen. Because of the small staff at the center, only Melissa and Beth Danielson is the meal site coordinator. Melissa maintains a small group of on-call employees who typically are regular center attendees. They are trained to fill in temporarily for Melissa or Beth if they are absent for any reason. Melissa periodically reviews the center's needs and the availability of substitute workers, and she's seeking to add 1 or 2 substitute meal site coordinators to the pool. There is no fiscal impact for adding the on-call workers, as their use is based on the number of absences of the meal site coordinator rather than the number of substitutes available. The job will be posted internally. Substitute meal site coordinator earns $16 per hour and are not eligible for employee benefits. And a memo. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to authorize the HR director to post the position and send recommendations to the town council for appointment of on-call part-time substitute meal site coordinators for the purpose of adding successful candidates to a list of substitutes. Said substitutes, when called upon, earn $16 an hour. $16 an hour and are not eligible for employee benefits.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Consideration of observation of Juneteenth holiday, 6/19/2024. Discussion and or action.
Who put this on?
Yeah.
Well, we had a memo, but I thought the acting HR director had requested that we table it.
Yes.
Perfect.
That's, yes, okay. I'll make a motion to, I'll make a motion to table the consideration of observation of Juneteenth holiday.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Boards and commissions, appointments, discussion, interaction. Board of Canvassers, expired term. Position number 2, 6th term to expire 2/28/2030. This appointment is for the expired term of Board of Canvasser member Wayne Farrington. Mr. Farrington and the chairman of the board both requested reappointment of Mr. Farrington. Can I get a motion?
Motion to appoint Wayne Farrington to the Gloucester Board of Canvassers, position number 2, for a 6-year term to expire 2/28/2030.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Planning board, term to expire, position number 5, 5-year term to expire 2/28/2029. This appointment is for the expired term of Janine Pataco. Ms. Pataco wishes to be appointed. Welcome back. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to reappoint Janine Pataco to the planning board, position number 5, for a 5-year term to expire February 28th, 2029.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Board of Canvassers, authorization to utilize alternate member for March 2024, discussion interaction. Clerk has to call an unexpected meeting for the Board of Canvassers to certify the No Labels RI Party nomination parties. The clerk continues to need to utilize the alternate member council appointed last month.
I'll make a motion to nominate Roy Najecki to serve as a Republican alternate member of the Gloucester Board of Canvassers as needed for any potential meetings of the board to be held in March of 2024.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Authorization for IT directors to assist interim finance director with restoration and renewal of accounts, discussion or action. The IT director and the interim finance director have been working towards the restoration and renewal of our line accounts, particularly all .gov accounts. The IT director and the interim finance director are asking for authorization for the IT director to gain administrative access to these accounts retroactive back to date of previous finance directors left the town's employee, January 5, 2024. If so, the IT director will create a plan moving forward so that there's no future gaps in administrative access.
I make a motion to authorize administrative access of all .gov accounts to the Glocester IT Director, Matthew Floor, effective January 5th, 2024.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Political signage campaigning, discussion or action. This was discussed last election. There was council consensus with Gloucester may need to establish some guidelines.
Didn't work out so well last time.
So no helicopters?
No giant lit signs.
So we looked at Burville's. Burville has a pretty clean town, that's not over and above. This is Gloucester, it's rural. I know that we have the ancients and horribles, and that's like our time to get crazy. But I think during the political time, we should keep our streets clean and not go super crazy. That's my thoughts.
So I certainly, I like a lot to mirror Barville's policy. I've been through it a few times. Some of it seems obvious, but I guess to adopt a policy to state certain things wouldn't hurt anything. Nice not to,
Well, the whole idea is that, you have new people running all the time, and they don't know what
The do's and don'ts.
do's and don'ts, right? So it's good to have something available to people, say, you can do this, you can do this, don't do that type of thing. So I think that's something to Borough. I think Borough, they had, I don't know if it was an ordinance or not, but I think it was more of a guideline that they gave to the candidates.
Yeah, and they published it in the bargain buy.
Yeah.
So we want to look at that
Sure.
and then
Sure.
put it on the next
Okay.
agenda.
I don't see a lot of changes or any changes really in what Burville's guidelines are.
Right.
So,
Well, I think they were kind of specific on, okay, on this road, don't put it on.
well, right,
State roads.
state roads and
Right.
streets, I don't know that we have to drill down,
No.
So many feet.
like that, but,
It's very specific.
but,
Yeah.
Well, I'll send it to you, and you'll have a chance to go over it.
the other thing is maybe to talk, I mean, I don't know that anybody wants to see a vote for sign before Labor Day. So, I don't. I don't know, something to look at or to consider as
depends
well.
what our primaries.
a primary.
Well, of course, if there's a actually,
Yeah.
right, yeah, okay. Well, let's get something together and for the next meeting, maybe we can pass a guideline.
So I can't put mine up tomorrow?
What's that? What about planes?
I
No
was thinking-
planes.
I was just thinking of that, one of the ones that had streams.
The guy who, spells your name in the smoke. All right.
Banners flying across.
Yeah, the banners. Okay, so we'll look at that next agenda. All right, special event applications, sprint enduro bike races, discussion or action. Application 1, consideration to waive public hearing for future consider of application. Council's received an application for an enduro bike race from Hans Neff under the name Future Aces by Hans to be held April 6th Mr. Neff has assured the clerk in writing that the event is the same as the event held at 104 Bungay Road on 4/8/2023. The clerk feels because it's the same pursuant to the Code of Ordinance, Chapter 175.4.b, council can consider this application without a public hearing. If council agrees, we would need a motion to waive the public hearing, and the application could be considered at the next town council meeting. So, Chief, everything was all good last year?
Yes.
There was concern also with like rescue but everything was good.
There's concern about applying
We
for
could
it.
have a problem though that taxes are rescued, but I'll approach that at the next.
Yep.
That they have probably their own, honestly.
I think they did last.
I think that was
last year we
part of
made
their
them have their own.
conditions.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they did, and it was actually donated.
Yeah, the
Yep.
same conditions as last time.
Yep. Okay, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion to waive a public hearing for an application submitted by Hans Neff, Future Aces by Hans, for an enduro bike race proposed to be held on April 6, 2024. Said application will be considered by the town council on March 21st, 2024.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Two, application number 2, consideration to set public hearing. The second application is for a race proposed May 25th, 2024 at a location not previously used, noted as 0 Putnam Pike, AP4, Lot 50. The applicant was notified that the application would require a public hearing per Chapter 175 of the Code of Ordinance, and a butters list has been received and the public hearing needs to be set. Council needs to determine whether or not, whether to set the public hearing April 4th or April 8th, which would be, 18th, which would be after the first event.
Yeah,
Hans
I didn't
event.
know if you wanted that luxury of setting it, see how the first event goes or not.
So it's the same group of people, different location.
Yeah, he's never had it there before.
Where is
Where is
0
I-
Putnam Pike?
I have no idea, I know it's West Gloucester.
Okay. Does anybody know where that is, Chief?
Could be, yeah, near Mr. Z's.
Zero would be down by the Smithfield line unless.
Well, it's 0, that's a vacant lot, so vacant lots are 0. So to your point though, if it was a number, we'd tell which end of town. it was.
Yeah, that's what happened.
You have,
It's AP4, Lot 50.
a picture, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's,
Yeah, that's,
down near Mr. Z's.
it's Dave Harris's spot. I think
We
that's.
gotta have it earlier than.
Yeah.
April 20th.
So let's get that for April 4th.
I make a motion to set a public hearing with a butters notice for consideration of the application submitted by Hans Neff, Future Aces by Hans, for an enduro bike race proposed to be held on May 25th, 2024. Said application will be set for public hearing on April 4th, 2024.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright. L, Economic Development Commission authorized to rebid place branding in discussion interaction. The Chair of the Economic Development Commission has communicated the following message to the clerk. To summarize where the EDC stands with the RFP for the place branding firm. The initial version of the RFP was brought to the Town Council, approved by the solicitor, noted a limit of $25,000 for the project. After it was approved, but before it was posted, there was careful consideration about whether or not to include the dollar amount in the document, and ultimately the dollar amount was not included in the posted RFP. The RFP was published and 4 proposals were received. 1 proposal did not meet the required qualifications, leaving 3 qualified proposals. The EDC reviews the proposals of all 3 highly qualified firms. Each of the firms' proposed fees were widely outside of the $25,000 limit that constitutes the potential, though not yet allocated, available funds for the project. The EDC would like the opportunity to republish the RFP, this time noting the limit of $25,000 to try to obtain qualified proposals within the $25,000 limit. We would propose using wording similar to proposals over $25,000 will not be considered as a means of not committing to a budget, but at the same time receiving proposals that may be realistically considered. If this RFP is something the council would approve of, we can work to republish the RFP ASAP, so that way, so that not further draw out of the further draw out the project. Thank you again for your help with this, Bernie, and the correspondence.
So I get, you know, we don't have committed funds right now for this.
We ARPA funds.
Set it, right, it would be ARPA, but it is not currently set aside.
No,
I don't know that they were ever committed, but if they were, they weren't, so they were, so it's not even like it's been de-obligated. My 2 cents on this is I'd like to look at our ARPA funds ledger before. I don't know where, I'd like to look at that before committing to anything, so that's where I'm at.
So put
I
it
don't know
on the
about-
agenda to get the balance sheet of
Well, I don't think we need to do that. I mean, we can look at that. It can go back on the agenda for consideration to use ARPA funds, but that's just where I'm personally at. We got a lot going on right now.
they asked for it.
They asked for
And they came and explained it, and they were told to, go out there and seek bids, see if it's a possibility even.
And it sounds like
Yeah, all the bids came in extremely
way
high.
higher than 25.
The chair talked to members of the Board of Contract and Purchases as well as the finance director at the time, and she got the recommendation that maybe you shouldn't include a dollar amount in a bid because everybody's gonna bid.
All the way up to that dollar amount.
So they tried, they honestly tried, the bids were excellent, the bid specs they wrote up were excellent, I know David reviewed them, but it didn't work out, and now they're just in limbo with the whole project.
But
So if we let them do it
that's
before,
my.
why are we gonna pull it back now? Okay, is that
Well,
ask Steve?
I think we need to go back and look at the ledger and see what we're working with there. I mean, that initial request came in probably a year ago, if memory serves. I wanna make sure we have available funds that we can commit to that. I would just like to put my eyes on something before, I'm not saying no on a motion, I'm just saying, I think, that's where I
Do
stand.
you think that before you consider letting them go back out to bid, that if we have the funds, you earmark them?
Yes, most definitely, because if they would, I think that it's
So
more
we-
cart and horse type of deal, exactly. If we let them go out to bid and we're working through, ARPA projects or whatnot, I think the funds need to be committed ahead, or obligated ahead of time before they go out. That way we don't have, but, again, just my thoughts, that's.
So let's check the ledger for the next meeting, and if they're there, we'll vote on that.
We can put it back on the agenda, I mean, we
Yep.
don't,
So, will you consider committing the funds and then consider again, allowing them to go back out to bid?
There'd be two different
So it'd be
things.
All
two,
on the,
Yeah.
okay.
So, would we make a motion to table that?
Yes, please.
All right, make a motion to table.
so I'll make a motion to table the authorization, for the EDC, for the Economic Development Commission to rebid the place branding initiative, said bids to be opened. Oh, I can leave it there, make a motion to table it.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Disposition of memorandum of agreements relative to certain maintenance and clerical services related to school maintenance for the Gloucester School Department. Number one, between DPW, NAGE, the union, and the town of Gloucester, approved by town council on 1/18/2024, discussion and interaction. Two, between the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 1322, the union and the town of Gloucester, approved by the council on 1/18/2024, discussion and interaction. Can I get a motion?
So, yeah, I put this on, obviously, we've had some changes, with the management of our elementary schools, of the buildings and grounds. I know the school committee's getting together, next week. They're gonna figure out what direction they'd like to go and probably come back to us if it involves anything in town, so, just for this meeting, I'm gonna make a motion to table, to the town council, table the motion, to the town council meeting of March 21, 2024, the disposition of the memorandum of agreements relative to certain maintenance and clerical services related to the school maintenance for the Gloucester School Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town council correspondence discussion. Any councilor have discussion on the correspondence to share? Okay. Department head reports discussion. Any department heads have anything for today?
I do. I do. I just wanted to notify the council that a law was passed this year that would effectively eliminate the need for an antique license. So upon renewal, as they come up this year, we're going to notify antique license owners that they don't need to renew the license any longer.
Business loans, right? Not like if you own one, like if I
No.
have an antique.
It keeps happening, and I honestly wish, I think eventually the council's gonna have to consider for a small fee, a business license for the businesses in town, because it honestly is the only way that I know of that I could be sure that the fire department could make an annual inspection and just watch out for people, but suppose that's not my place to worry about that. And I had one other thing. I had a gentleman come and see me. He was interested in, wanted to know if the council would consider allowing him to pick up dead wood off the property we own, Stone Dam and Snake Hill. You know, I could ask him to put something in writing. if the
That's a
council
pretty
would.
big area.
You know, he said it's all, you know, trees that have fallen.
I think we've done similar things in the
We let
past.
somebody- we let somebody hay it, I
Somebody,
believe,
hey,
with
yeah,
the
that's
scissors.
what I'm thinking.
maintenance,
I think the
maintenance,
big,
I don't know.
it's just about liability, that's that. Beyond that, if that's all,
Free-for-all, if you let one person do it,
Right.
you'll let
right.
everybody.
He
So, but if he
also-
wants to put a written
A written
request
request,
in.
because he's also asking if the council would consider selling a piece of that land to him. Obviously, he's in butter to the property. So I could just tell him to put his request in writing?
Perfect. What do we need?
I've been here since the
Boards and commissions, anybody from boards and commissions? Open forum. Here we go. Come on up. Your daughter's been a peach.
Oh, thank you.
Just name and where you're from.
Good evening, my name's Haley Bakari. I live on Durfee Hill Road. I just wanted to learn more about the budget for the elementary schools and in terms of freezing money or how the budget's gonna pan out. I had just a few questions regarding cuts, who would be affected by the cuts, what other plans would go into those decisions and the duration. I personally do a lot of fundraising for West Gloucester, and I'm just wondering kind of what that would look like for the end of the year.
That's school committee that's dealing with those
Sure.
cuts. We submitted a budget to the budget board for next year, but the cuts they're making now, that's the school committee. You just talk to them about it.
Okay.
Pat Dubois is the superintendent.
All right, thank you.
Oh, boy.
Sorry,
I wish we could have answered
Hope you
that.
enjoyed your evening here.
Hold it out.
They do, for the school committee, is meeting on
Tuesdays.
Tuesday night this upcoming week.
I think it's upcoming Tuesday, and I think they were thinking they did have to freeze some stuff and do some cuts, but I believe we're moving some money around right now, so that may not happen. Don't quote me on it, but I know they were looking to do a lot of things.
Okay.
Does she want a lifesaver?
We'll take anything. Thank you.
Great learning about town politics.
Voted too.
Town government, yes.
You got a long.
Anybody else for open? Come on up.
Mr. Steer.
Get enough of us.
He looks feisty tonight.
Walter Steer, 1318 Putnam Pike. The branding issue, 25,000. The town has been challenged economically for the last 2 years, and this year doesn't look like it's gonna get any better. To spend this money on this event, this branding, I think is a waste of money. I know it's not taxpayer money per se, it's just, I think that we got 100 other places that we could use that money to a lot better use. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thanks, Walt.
Anybody else? All right. We're now gonna need a motion to convene to executive session, please.
I'll make them. Yes. Thought I put that in.
Can we take like a 5?
Oh, okay.
Short 5?
So I'll make a motion to convene to close the executive session pursuant to RAGO 42-46-582, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, discussion, consideration, vote, or other action by town council.
Can I get a second? Second. Call the roll.
And 42-46-5A5. Any discussions or considerations related to the acquisition or lease of real property for public purposes or the disposition of publicly held property wherein advanced public information would be detrimental to the interest of the public. With regard to assessors plat. 14 lot, lot 92.
Okay, second.
Second.
Second. Pull the, call the roll.
Counselor Graham?
Aye.
Counselor Steer?
Aye.
Counselor Burlingame?
Aye.
Counselor Arnold?
Aye.
Counselor Worthy?
Aye. Motion passes. 5-minute break.
you're gonna put live streaming
I had a good
back
conversation with her,
on.
Probably like,
Good.
I think we come back in here.
We were waiting out there.
Something for him to drive up here tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we were able to,
We're on.
Okay.
No, that would have been interesting, right?
I'll make a motion.
He said he can get you in the room.
I'll make a motion to reconvene into open session. I'll disclose that no votes were taken
Oh,
in
wait a minute.
executive session.
Did they vote?
No,
No, I don't
Okay,
think we did.
sorry.
did not vote.
What?
No votes were taken.
So I'll make a motion, reconvene open session, disclose no votes were taken in the executive session.
Wait,
into-
stop. You voted on fixing the police contract.
Oh, you did, I'm
All
sorry.
right, so-
One vote was taken, you
So
didn't
I'll
vote
make a
on this
motion,
contract.
that's right. So I'll make a motion to reconvene the open session, disclose that one vote was taken in executive session, and to seal the minutes of closed executive session.
Second.
Pursuant to RIGL 42-46-7.
Paul, the council, please.
Second.
Counselor Greathouse.
Aye.
Counselor Steer.
Aye.
Counselor Burlingame.
Aye.
Counselor Arno. Counselor
Aye.
Christie.
Aye.
I wanna make a motion to go back, no.
Back into executive session.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, Lordy Lord.
Second.
Wait.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Walt made the motion.
Well, John second.
I got trucks coming to the convention, I gotta be at the convention center, 7 AM.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah, so we'll set up a road show.
I gotta drive up to New Hampshire again tomorrow night.